What's up, guys? Hey, how we doing? So I want to talk a little bit today about Haiden Deegan. He is changing the game, period. He is changing what it means to be a professional racer. Mitch Payton. Oh, man. Mitch is one of the most decorated people in the pits, but he blew it. And I'm going to explain to you what happened there and why he screwed up so bad. But hey guys, if you haven't tried Nano-Xtreme, I strongly recommend it. This stuff is amazing. If you got aches and pains, Nano-Xtreme will help you, I promise. It gets in there, gets rid of the inflammation. Best pain cream ever. Stop taking Advil and all that crap you're taking. Try Nano-Xtreme and you'll throw that stuff out. Head over to Nano-Xtreme, use code COOKSY for free shipping. It will change your life. Check out the Coach Rob Podcast Network. Coach has everything from a show dedicated for vet racers. He's got a show dedicated for amateurs and navigating the amateur system. He's got all sorts of fitness tips. He has got a library over there that will get you any question you want answered. So head over to the Coach Rob Podcast Network or Coach Rob on YouTube.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So let's take a look at Haiden Deegan. Haiden Deegan is bringing something to the sport that we've never seen before. So first you had McGrath. He brought us the kind of BMX style where you soaked it up and stayed low over the jumps. And he kind of toyed with pushing the boundaries with the Showtime thing. He was in some Krusty Demons movies. He really did push the limits of that time, but it was a different era. They only showed us what we wanted to see. It's not like today's. Today there's a camera everywhere. Every little thing gets out. They could keep it to just the pundits say, the positive. RC put his stamp on the sport by really changing the fitness level. He was the first guy that really weaponized fitness, at least in the modern era. Yes, I know Bob Hannon and some other guys did it, but Ricky did it in the modern era. He was the first one to really bring in people from the bicycle industry, Alden Baker, allegedly performance-enhancing drugs. He was the first one to really capitalize on those. And while I have to say allegedly, because I don't have hardcore proof, I know enough people around that situation to feel pretty confident saying that he was one of the first ones to start using stuff that really has changed the fitness level of the entire sport. Then we had James Stewart. James Stewart, of course, he brought the scrub. Things we didn't think were possible on a dirt bike. And don't forget, he broke down that race barrier. And there was a very big race barrier. This was considered a white sport. And I know it doesn't seem like it now because nobody really cares, which is awesome. I love that we're at that point. But I mean, even as recent as 2007, that was when I was at the San Diego Supercross. I heard people in the stands yelling the N-word when he was battling Chad Reed. As recent as 2007, I mean, it wasn't predominant, but when he first started racing, I remember when he raced Phoenix and he made his 250 debut, telling a girl that I was hitting on in Phoenix that, hey, yeah, about James Stewart. And she goes, oh, are they going to take over that sport too? Seriously, things like that actually existed and James Stewart got through all that. And I'm not saying it's completely gone, but it's way, way better than it was. And he deserves credit for being, the Jackie Robinson of the motocross industry. He really did tear down a lot of walls, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. What Haiden Deegan brings to this sport, he is going to bring the entertainment. He is the Conor McGregor of Supercross or SMX or whatever you want to call it. We are now in the entertainment era. If you don't believe me, just take a look at the series. It has got a made-for-TV playoff built into it. Yeah, it's entertainment. They're about to sign a $200 million TV streaming contract for 2026 and beyond. Gambling is now part of the sport. They brought in $20 to $50 million of gambling money. They've brought Monster Energy pays upwards of $20 to $30 million a year to sponsor the series. So if you don't think this is sports and entertainment, you're out of your mind. It is not like WWE. WWE is scripted. This is much like the UFC where it's sports. It's not scripted, but don't kid yourself. It's absolutely entertainment. Deegan is the first one to really recognize this. There's other guys that have done it, but you have to be a next level talent to really capitalize on it. Like there was lots of guys before Conor McGregor that talked trash, but when he backed it up and won the championship and then he won the double championship, it catapulted him to an entirely new level. Before Conor McGregor, Dana White would never even announce fights. Like he wouldn't call out. They never did call outs after the fight. And then they realized Connor did it and it worked so good. Okay, well, yeah, let's all do it. It changed the entire sport. Deegan is doing that by showing us the internal arguments and rivalries that and like I said, it's not a blood feud with Levi Kitchen, more of a curtain pulled back. Can you imagine what him and his mechanics say when they go back to the truck? F that guy, this, that. Those are the things that he is taking out of the shadows and putting them in the public eye. And I think it's great. It is what it is. You can't hide all this stuff today with phones and cameras. And I love that he is embracing the all-in mentality and let's just show everybody everything. Think about the crap that you guys talk with your friends just at the track. Can you imagine if people film that and put that out there? You'd be like, wow, that dude's crazy, ruthless. But it's in good fun and it needs to be taken as such. It is entertainment. And then I look at a guy like Jet. Jet was raised to be a racer. He was not raised to be an entertainer. Deegan was raised with cameras all around him. They're the first family in this sport to really bring in social media and the entertainment aspect and monetize it. He is so well equipped to deal with this new world that he is taking it on his shoulders. Behind him, you're going to have a lot of guys that are going to have personality. They're going to say stuff. They are not going to be scared because he is the first one to really take it on. But you can see the differences between him and the Lawrence family. The Lawrence family, they did it the old school way. They worked on technique and racing and just being good people. They didn't plan on the entertainment era. And we're getting to see it wear on Jet. He wasn't ready for the negativity. Hayden's ready for it. He doesn't care. He feeds off of it. But that negativity is just, it's not good for Jet. And I mean, this kid's 22 years old, but he is, if you listen to his personality, he is a 16-year-old in a 22-year-old's body. He's just a kid, man. He really is. And he doesn't get it. And it's hard to see him grow and have this negativity and these type of adult things thrown at him when he's not quite ready. We are watching him grow up in front of our eyes. And unfortunately, we're watching him become bitter at the system. It's scarring when you have what feels like the world coming down on you. And you know, from the outside, we can look in and say, no, everybody still loves him. But you gotta understand, when you look at internet comments, you can look at 10 positive and 1 negative. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's somebody out there who's a little bit more in tune with the psychological aspects. It is hard not to let it bother you. Like I said, I've dealt with it on a smaller scale, nothing like what Jet is dealing with. But I also understand how hard it is. There's a physiological reaction when you read negative things. Nobody wants to hear people say these awful things about you. But Deegan has figured out, he's built up these calluses and they've trained him for it. They have trained him for the entertainment era. So sit back and enjoy Haiden Deegan and the new entertainment era in Supercross. But I'll tell you what, these guys better get a piece of that entertainment money. If you're going to be sports entertainers, like they're going to have to be, like every other sport who focuses on their big athletes, these guys need a piece of the entertainment dollars, especially with manufacturers struggling. And that's where guys are getting the primary dollars or almost all their dollars now. The purse money is garbage. They need the series and promoters. If they want to keep this thing going, they have got to, and I'm not doing this, I'm not saying, oh, poor riders don't get anything. I'm saying poor riders need to get something or the promoters won't have any more riders in a few years. This is a sustainability of the series argument, not a they deserve this, they deserve that. This is a let's build a sustainable business so we can grow this thing into a real sport and go to that next level. Because with guys like Deegan in the entertainment, it is going to gain popularity. We are hearing the stories. This is something I've been screaming for forever. And it took me a little bit to accept it because I'll be honest with you, I was never a Brian Deegan fan. And you know, like I said, I've raced him as kids, saw him go through. I always just thought he was such a knucklehead. So for me to accept his kid as the one that I've been asking for this forever. Somebody who will come in and just say screw it and say whatever they want and just be their own person and welcome the negativity. A bad guy that just goes up there and stone cold Steve Austin's it. That is what I've been asking for years. It happens to be Brian Deegan's kid. Check out Ride Strapped, goggles, glasses, shirts, some of the coolest stuff. A great company that really believes in giving back to the sport in a grassroots level. Hit up Ride Strapped, get your goggles, glasses, or shirts. If you're shipping anything, use Precision Transport. This is a family-owned business that really believes in customer service, reasonable pricing. Hit up pretransport.com and they will get your stuff shipped where it needs to go. Check out Motobilia. This is a new sponsor of mine. I'm not gonna lie, I go on the site and just look at the stuff, the crazy memorabilia that they have, the motocross stuff. It is badass. They sell it, and that is a new sponsor of mine, so check out motobilia.com. So I've been super critical of Mitch Payton because he never tells us what coast people are racing on. And the excuse he's always used is, listen, I get all my guys ready in case somebody gets hurt so we can have the right guys at Anaheim. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, because if that's the case, you'd have had 2 guys at Anaheim. You knew Levi was sick during the week, and you've got Ty Masterpool, Drew Adams, Seth Hammaker, and Cameron McAdoo, all according to the program and why you haven't declared East-West until that week. They're all ready to go. Yet you're still going to run Levi out there sick. You're going to run Levi out there sick and see what happens? Come on. Why on earth didn't Drew Adams, Ty Masterpool, or one of the other 2 guys go out there in that first session when they knew Levi was under the weather? They knew it because he didn't even go to press day. He wasn't even good enough to ride press day or do the press conference. So you know it's a risk that he's not going to make it. So why not put one of these other guys out there in that first session, because the AMA wouldn't hold them to it. And if Levi says, hey, I'm good, I'm racing, you sit that guy down. He just got 1 practice session in. Cool. Good for him. And you got 2 guys there. If he doesn't, well, Drew Adams, Ty Masterpool, whoever, you jump right in and race. So with the way Mitch has handled this, I never want to hear this, oh, we get all our guys ready so we can fill in, because that is a lie. That is a lie that has been exposed with this incident right here. If that truly was the case, he'd have had somebody ready to go to fill in for Levi at Anaheim 1. And I have no problem with these guys switching coasts. If you declare a coast and you have to switch, no problem. I get it. But I just stop with the secrecy. Stop with the don't tell us bullcrap. It's ridiculous. Tell us 4 weeks out. And if you have to switch a week out, if you have to switch the day of, I don't care. Just give us an idea and have your guys ready to go for A1. And now they're bringing in Ty Masterpool a race down. This is so unfair to Ty Masterpool. He is a veteran. He is a guy that should be allowed to complete a whole series. And I know Supercross isn't his thing and they're really focusing for him on outdoors, but really you're gonna bring him in after sitting out a week and letting everybody race, and now he's gotta come in after. It sucks for Ty Masterpool. Meanwhile, you have Drew Adams, who is dying to go pro, and his amateur rival, Cole Davies, looked awesome at Anaheim, got a top 10. So clearly Drew Adams is ready. Like, he's got to be ready. You know, if you're gonna bring a guy in for a partial season because you screwed up at Anaheim, why not bring in your rookie? We've seen this before. Chance Hymas did this a few years ago, like 2023. He came out and just raced a few races and then went and got ready for outdoors. This is not new. Why not put Drew Adams in there? I don't understand this. This has got to be some of the dumbest maneuvering that I've seen. And I'm sorry, but Mitch Payton's been around and he's got such a resume. I hate questioning him, but this is some bad moves, man. I got to call it what it is. This is bad management. Hey, on the bright side, at least Ty Masterpool gets that long break and he's not going to be racing East in the Supercross. So he has that long break to prep for outdoors, because that's where I really want to see Ty Masterpool get a complete full season with prep on that pro circuit bike. Last year, he won a race. He was competitive. I really think he could be in the mix for a title. I don't think anyone's beaten Deegan, but he can be in the mix. And I'm glad that he's going to get the proper prep to go outdoors ready to go. All right, guys, that's it for the moto stuff. I know a lot of you guys don't like when I go off topic, but I'm going off topic today because I'm kind of pissed. I am just disgusted with some of the stuff that's going on in California right now. If you don't like the non-moto stuff, this is your warning. Turn it off now. So I'm looking at these California wildfires and it is blowing my mind. And they are tearing down LA. They are literally burning LA to the ground. I've never seen anything like this in our country. Like, this is crazy that they're letting an entire city burn down. They had fire hydrants that were empty, reservoirs that were supposed to be full in case of this. They stopped cutting down forests. They do this thing where they trim the forests so they're not a forest danger or forest fire danger. How did State Farm know that they weren't doing this anymore? And State Farm said, hey, listen, you know what? You're not doing that. It's not profitable. We're not going to insure your people. I don't know if this is right, but I believe I was told 69% of the people in these areas lost their insurance. I don't know if they've got other insurance or what's going on, but 69% of the people lost their insurance in the last couple of years because California was negligent in trimming the areas to prevent this fire danger and allowing this to happen. Now, was it planned? Maybe. Was it allowed to happen? Yeah, more likely. And this is what they've been waiting for, and they set it up for this. And it's crazy because if you look at the map of Melbourne, I'm going to go a little bit conspiracy here, but is it really conspiracy when you look at what's happening and happened to us in the last 4 or 5 years? Melbourne burned down. They wanted to do Smart City 2.0. Okay, well, yeah, that's World Economic Forum. That's these people who are doing these evil things and forcing vaccines on us that we don't want, hiding information and all the crazy stuff that they've actually done, which people called it conspiracy, but it actually happened. And it's so hard for normal people to wrap our brain around it because we're like, nah, nobody would do that. Nobody's that evil. Unfortunately, they are. These people in the World Economic Forum think of us as cattle. We mean nothing to them. We are pawns on a board. They do not care about us. They are all about their agenda. They've started this in the 1970s. They've bought politicians, 3-letter agencies, judges, prosecutors, and they have implemented this long-term strategy to destroy the fabric of our country. Klaus Schwab, George Soros, I'm looking at you two clowns. You guys have done this to us, and you know it. People like Hillary Clinton, who her favorite book, allegedly, is Rules for Radicals by Sal Alinsky. Sal is a guy who promoted communism. And let me just walk you through the 8 steps of turning a socialist society into a communist society. First, you control healthcare. What happened recently? Was it Obamacare? And some of the stuff they've done with healthcare. So first you take healthcare from the people. Then you increase poverty as much as you can. And what did we see during the pandemic? The biggest transfer of wealth ever. Mom and pop businesses being shut down while major corporations were allowed to run. This was not an accident. This is not an accident. Tax increases, inflation. They want to get us in debt. Once you're in debt, you are a puppet to their system. Number 4 on the list is gun control. They always want to take your guns. Why? Because you cannot fight when they make it a police state. If they want to bring it in and make it into a police state, they have to take your guns. How do they take your guns? Well, there's these crazy shootings that they promote, and a lot of people say that these shootings are on purpose and they're planned out to take guns. I don't know if that's true, but these are things that people say. And then they want to provide government housing, government welfare. Then you are a slave to them. You are 100%, then it becomes the upper class and the poor. That is communism. That is where you put them on welfare, you make them dependent on you, and that whole you'll own nothing and be happy? No, you won't. You'll own nothing and be miserable. And then they take control of education. Yeah, they take control of the education. Have you noticed how they don't teach a lot of things in school that people really need? Are they teaching kids how to manage their checkbooks? Are they teaching kids how to finance things? Are they teaching kids how to buy? They're not. They have kids in there debating ridiculous stuff and learning things that don't matter. I don't think this is an accident. They want to remove religion because when you have religion, you have hope in a higher power. They want to remove religion, so the highest power you look at is government. And the biggest one is they want class warfare. They want division. If you can create civil unrest, then it's so much easier. People will hand over their power when there's civil unrest. They want us fighting about race. They want us fighting whether someone's a man or a woman. They want us fighting about all these ridiculous things that don't matter. There is not a racist issue right now. There were all those riots after George Floyd, but I just watched a new documentary on Daily Wire that showed the entire police video. There's some alarming stuff that they suppressed. Just check out the fentanyl levels in George Floyd, and you tell me. So according to this documentary, if you're at a level 3, you could be considered an OD and die from that. So George Floyd was at an 11 with fentanyl. He swallowed pills when the cops knocked on his window. He did this in 2019. He did it again in 2020. This is his move to get away from the cops instead of hiding the drugs. And I'm not justifying. That cop should not have been on his neck for 7 minutes and 36 seconds. According to the prosecution, it was 7 minutes. So they can say 8, they can say 9. According to the prosecution in court, it said 7 minutes and something. So it was 7 minutes that this cop, Derek Chauvin, had his knee on George Floyd's neck. Now, I think that's awful. That needs to change. But they trained these cops to do that. It is in the manual. The manual that Derek Chauvin was taught, the PowerPoint, They showed these police officers. So if somebody is unruly like that and they're calling an EMT, that is how they are told to detain them until the EMT gets there. Now, what really sucked about this one is the EMT got lost. So he was held there far longer than he should have. Is that the cop's fault? Is that the police officer's fault? And I'm not justifying this for the police officers. Like, they got to know better. And once he started to really go in, like, he didn't have to keep his knee on there that long. But how's he in prison for doing exactly what the Minnesota manual trained him exactly to do? Now, that's the problem. The problem is he's trained to do that. Like, I don't understand how you can put a guy in jail when you trained him to do something and he did it and then had a bad result. Just because of the result, you put him in prison. And like I said, I've always said, like, I'm not gonna lie, my previous opinion was he deserved to be in jail. I'm not so sure anymore. I'm telling you, go get Daily Wire and watch this documentary. It might change your opinion on some things. And it's scary how this coordinated attack allowed these people to take over a police station in Minnesota. The way that this thing went down was scary. They talk about, January 6th, the insurgents. This is a heck of a lot scarier than that. So don't take my word for it. Go check out that documentary. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate all you members. You guys are the best. You're helping me do what I do. Remember, Alias gear. We're giving away a full set of Alias gear this month for all members. Everybody who's a member and you've signed up and you pay $2.99 a month, you are entered to win a full set of Alias gear and a bottle of Nano-Xtreme. We'll be giving both of those away at the end of January. And like I said, we're going to do